Helmut Marko took time out of his day to insult Red Bull's competitors regarding Max Verstappen's future, sending out low blows left and right. He implied that the Formula One landscape would be horrible if Max Verstappen were with Ferrari. And the same statement against the prancing horse acts as a double entendre that makes fun of Mercedes as well. Let's have a look at what the loudest team advisor in Formula One had to say in today's video. Helmut Marko is rallying his team after facing challenges internally in Milton Keynes, emphasizing that Red Bull currently boasts the strongest car in the field. There are rumours connecting Verstappen to a surprising departure from Red Bull amidst an ongoing power struggle behind his impressive achievements. Despite this backdrop, the Dutch driver is heavily favoured to secure his fourth consecutive world title, having won 4 out of 5 Grand Prix in 2024 with ease. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has stirred up tensions with Red Bull by openly expressing his desire to sign Verstappen, despite the driver having a contract until 2028. In response, Marko has retaliated against Red Bull's competitors by highlighting that the 26-year-old's priority is to drive the fastest car, which he currently has at Red Bull. He always wants to be in the fastest car, and Max in the Red Bull? That's an unbeatable combination, Marko said. But if you put the Max in a Ferrari, things would look different. The 20 seconds that he is ahead of Sergio Perez corresponds to his driving superiority. Max will drive where he has the best car, and he has that at Red Bull. Nothing else is on the horizon. Wolff's frequent mention of considering Verstappen has irked influential figures within Red Bull. Team principal Christian Horner has criticised the Austrian for attempting to disrupt their focus by generating speculation. He also noted that Red Bull has now exceeded Mercedes' race win count in the modern era, adding weight to their performance credentials. I don't know how many more times he needs to say it. He's said it numerous times. I think sometimes it's just designed to create noise, Horner said. We moved ahead today of the races Mercedes has won in the modern era. Of the teams in form, why on earth would you want to leave this team? Mercedes are the third team behind their customers, McLaren and Aston Martin at the moment, so I think Wolff's time would be better spent perhaps focusing on the team rather than the driver market. Verstappen himself affirms his commitment to fulfill his contract until 2028. Having secured the last 3 world titles, the last 2 with notable ease, he stands by his intentions for the foreseeable future. And if you're getting bored by now, Helmut Marko has a few words for you. Marko dismisses the notion that Max Verstappen's dominance in Formula One is boring, emphasizing the importance of appreciating it. Verstappen has secured the title in 2022 and 2023, marking 3 consecutive championships, and is now poised for a 4th after a strong start to the season, with 4 wins in the first 5 races and a commanding performance in the recent sprint race in China. The emergence of a 2-tier championship, with Verstappen standing out from the rest, has sparked discussions about the impact on Formula One's entertainment value. Lando Norris of McLaren, who finished second to Verstappen in the Chinese Grand Prix, is among those expressing concerns. However, Marko firmly believes that Verstappen's dominance should not be labelled as boring. He told The Telegraph, "It's not boring at all. If the achievements of a sportsman are extraordinary, then you have to accept and be able to appreciate it. And above all, don't say it's boring, it's Max's credit." Marko joked about the need for Verstappen to improve his qualifying performance, while also praising the collaboration between Verstappen and his race engineer Gianpiero Lambiase, known as GP, in mastering both qualifying and race dynamics in the Red Bull RB20. In terms of qualifying, Max has clearly taken a step. It was about time, because in terms of pole positions, he is still a bit behind compared to victories, said Marko with a smile. He's even better than last year. Max can focus even more and find a better setup with GP so that the car is good enough for qualifying, but at the same time he also keeps his lead in the race. Yet despite having the exceptional talent of Max Verstappen, Helmut Marko is on the lookout for the next Formula One superstar, a quest that might lead him to scout talents from McLaren's driver pool. Marko oversees Red Bull's junior program, and although criticised for his tough approach in talent management, he also deserves recognition for discovering talents like Sebastian Vettel and Verstappen. Both drivers have clinched multiple world championships with Red Bull, contributing to the team's constructors' victories and setting F1 records. Verstappen, who joined Formula One in 2015 with Red Bull's junior team, quickly ascended to the senior squad a year later, marking his debut with a victory. 8 years on, Verstappen boasts an impressive tally of 58 Grand Prix victories, 3 world championships, and holds records for the most successive wins, most points, and most wins in a season. Presently, there are scant indications of anyone dethroning the Dutch driver and his dominant Red Bull team. Despite his remarkable achievements, Verstappen is reportedly contemplating his future amid Red Bull's off-track turmoil. including the investigation involving Christian Horner and the potential departure of Adrian Newey. Consequently, Marko is tasked with identifying the next talent in the Red Bull pipeline. As he mentioned to Kleine Zeitung, "There will never be another Verstappen, at least I don't see one at the moment. But we always deal with young drivers. For example, Isaac Hadjar was recently unlucky in Formula 2, otherwise, he would be leading the series." In fact, Marko acknowledges that the next leader to guide Red Bull into the post-Verstappen era, whether in F1 2026 or later, might come from outside Red Bull's pool of drivers, with McLaren's talents being notably considered. Norris has at least a contract until 2026, so he is not an option in the short term, nor is Oscar Piastri, he said. But both drivers are certainly interesting for us in the future. Back in September, McLaren and Piastri reached a new multi-year contract extension, securing the Australian driver with the British team until at least the end of 2026. Similarly, in January, Norris signed an extended multi-year deal with McLaren starting from 2025 and continuing into the future. But despite these agreements, rumours persist about Red Bull's interest in Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, even as discussions about Norris and Piastri remain focused on the future. Despite being without a seat for the 2025 season, Carlos Sainz remains notable as the only non-Red Bull driver to have won a Grand Prix since 2022. Marko mentioned that they are in discussions with Sainz, although the potential hurdle could be related to Audi's salary expectations. "We're talking to him, he's having his strongest season in Formula 1, he said. "But he has a very lucrative offer from Audi that we can't match or beat. But we still know him from the Toro Rosso days, even back then he drove with Max. But it really hurt him back then when we at Red Bull relied on Verstappen and not on him. Verstappen has earned a reputation for outperforming his Red Bull teammates, but Sergio Perez is making a strong case for a new contract by securing 3 P2 finishes and a P3 in the first 5 races." Marko is impressed with Perez's performance, questioning what more Red Bull could ask from the Mexican driver. "Talking about the matter," Marko said. "Sergio knows his place, does the maximum and is second in the championship. What else do you want to achieve?" Marko has said that there are no negative aspects to highlight about Sergio Perez as the Mexican pursues a new contract with Red Bull. Perez's current deal expires at the end of the season, and as the 2023 championship runner-up, he is seeking a new contract to retain his seat with the Milton Keynes-based team. Despite securing second place in last year's Drivers' Championship, Sergio Perez faced a challenging season with driving errors and inconsistent race weekends, leading to a less-than-ideal finish to the year and increased pressure on him. For the 2024 season, Sergio Perez was directly challenged by team boss Christian Horner and Marko to improve his consistency and performance. This challenge was presented to ensure that Perez remains the first priority for Red Bull in 2025. And so far, he has been crushing it. Perez's increased consistency in qualifying has boosted his confidence, and his more patient approach to driving is aligning well with the expectations alongside Verstappen. While Perez may have concerns about Carlos Sainz's availability in the drivers' market after his release from Ferrari due to Lewis Hamilton's signing, Marko stated that there's currently no need to consider alternatives to Perez for next season. Speaking to OE23, he said, "As long as Checo, Perez is in as good a form as he is now and he comes with reasonable conditions for an extension, there's really nothing to be said against him." In the contract negotiations with Sergio Perez, the main sticking point, according to Marko, is the duration of the deal rather than financial terms or other conditions. In fact, he even brings Mexican sponsors with him. His demands are more about the duration of the contract. Christian Horner mentioned during the Chinese Grand Prix weekend that Red Bull is not close to making an announcement regarding its future driver lineup. This statement comes after Sergio Perez expressed confidence in having an announcement to make in the coming weeks. "It's incredible that we're at race 5 and there's so much talk already about drivers for next year," Horner said. "We're in a situation where we're very happy with our 2 drivers. But we don't need to make a final decision about the lineup until much later in the year. So obviously Max is on a long-term contract anyway. Checo Perez out of contract this year, but he's been driving exceptionally well so far this season." Horner grinned when asked why Perez is performing so well after a challenging 2023 season with the dominant RB19 car. He then said, "Probably because he's out of contract. No, I think he's worked hard over the winter. He's come in with a change, perhaps slightly to his approach to Grand Prix weekends, and he's been very close in the 4 races so far this season. Particularly at a track like Suzuka, that last year he struggled quite a bit, but certainly this year was very competitive." So, has Sergio Perez finally earned Helmut Marko's love, or is this all for show? Tell us in the comments section down below, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.